Announcing the first pyro plushie from Deadites on deck. Poe, he is adorably mischievous, cute as a button, and ready to be your forever friend. Someone to talk to when you are lonely, someone to keep the monsters away at midnight, someone to hug when you've had a hard day. Welcome home, Poe. We hope you will stay. Welcome home, Poe. We hope you will stay.
Watching movies with a dead chick and the gang, funny, strange, hysterical, or just plain bad. This weekend just got amazing. It's a watch-along weekend. Horror and sci-fi, comedy and more. We got it all this weekend. This weekend just got amazing. It's a watch-along weekend. Horror and sci-fi, comedy and more. We got it all this weekend.
Howdy, gang, and welcome to yet another watch along. It is once again a watch along weekend, and tonight's pick that you guys and gals picked, or at least those of you that voted in the last poll I had up, you voted for Hell Night. Hell Night was the winner for tonight's watch along. I've got another new poll up. People have already started voting on that. Keep on voting, gang. You've got enough time to get in your votes if you have not already. And I'm finishing up my dinner, so hopefully that won't be too much of a distraction to anybody that I'm finishing up my dinner because, as you guys and gals know, I'm always a day late and a dollar short. So I hope you enjoyed for those of you that were in here to see the announcement about the Poe plushie, which has been completed. There is a little video on it where I show off Poe. And I wanted to show something else. And again, and I know that I don't need to explain this to people over and over again, but I feel like I should at least say something. I know there are some people out there that are not big fans of AI, and that's fine. As I've said many, many times before, that is fine. But I enjoy playing around with it. So Steve and I have been playing around with Chat GPT, and I've kind of gotten addicted to it. So I just wanted to show off something that I made. This is just a little mock-up of a slasher movie poster. It looks kind of like me. The AI is not perfect. And yeah, I cheated. I made myself look a little slimmer and all that good stuff. So, and also this part down here at the bottom, I will be taking out if I use this image for anything. So, just showing off my handiwork there a little bit, in case anybody was interested. But we're going to be watching Hell Night here in just a little bit. Unfortunately, I was not able to find a for free version on YouTube. I should have started earlier. I was trying to run through here and see. It is available on Screenbox. I don't know how many of you guys and gals have Screenbox. But if you do have Screenbox, you can watch it for free there. You can also buy or rent it on YouTube. And it is evidently Shutter has it. So for those of you that have Shutter, you can watch it that way as well. Sorry, gang, I'm not as well put together as I would like to be with stuff sometimes. And today's been kind of a busy day. Steve took me out to lunch. We went to Drake's. I don't know how many of you guys and gals have a Drake's near you, but I really love their chili. It's the best tasting chili. A lot of restaurants, or at least a lot of restaurants around Louisville, claim to have homemade chili. And the stuff I've tasted tastes like it comes out of a can, basically. But Drake's chili actually tastes like homemade chili. So they're doing something right. So we had a good time doing that. We had to take one of our dogs to the vet for a booster shot. And so been a little busy today, hence me just now getting to my dinner. Sorry about that. These vegetables are a little juicy, which I guess is a good thing. But so once again, we're going to be watching Hell Night. For those of you that have the Scream Factory release, that's what I'm watching. I'm going to get it queued up here right now so that I'll be able to tell you guys and gals where I'm queued up to. For those of you that will be watching along, like I said, I'm a little bit behind today or this evening. So let's see here. Let's see if we can get this sucker queued up. And for those of you that are able to join me tonight, I thank you. I appreciate it. I appreciate all the support of me and the support for the channel. It is all much, much, much appreciated. And I'm not being sarcastic about that at all. I do appreciate all of you guys and gals. Okay. Okay. So, for those of you that are in here right now that might be watching along, I am 9 seconds in on my Blu-ray. There's a chick that's screaming. And so I will give everybody a few minutes to get queued up if you are watching along tonight. I'll get some housekeeping stuff out of the way, and then we'll go ahead and get started with this watch along. So, like I was saying, and I'll get Poe out so I can show him off again because, some people might not think he's much or anything at all, basically. But I am very proud of the first Poe plushie that I created. I think he's really cute. He may be, somebody even said that you're creating folk art. And I was like, yeah, this kind of looks like, some sort of folk art. So I like that. I like that they said that. So I just wanted to show him off to everybody. This is the first ever Poe. This is my Poe. But if you order one, he's going to be coming to the Deadites on Deck shop at deaditesondeck.com very soon. Price tag is $50 on him, and that's because of materials. He is hand sewn with a needle and thread, folks. I'm not using a sewing machine or anything. So I'm doing this all on my own. So it takes time, it takes material, and I'm hitting myself in the face with his horns here. But these things take time, and I know that people that don't create these things themselves, they may say, whoa, $50 is a very high price tag. And I'm going to go ahead and put Poe back up over here before I hit myself in the face or glasses with them in. But I've also talked to people that do this kind of stuff either for a living or as a side hustle. I hope nobody's, offended by that. To make extra money. Sorry, just trying to finish this up while it's still warm. And they tend to understand. But all I can say is if you think that's too steep, I mean, by all means, don't purchase one. But if you're at all interested and you think that's a fair price, I'm going to be having those up on the site soon, and hopefully some more plushies will be joining Poe and be available on the shop site, again at deaditesondeck.com. And I have t-shirts, and I have candles, and I have tote bags and mouse pads and blended teas, all kinds of fun stuff. If you're not into horror, never fear, because I do custom work. There's a handy dandy form on the homepage of the shop. You can fill that out. Tell me what you're interested in. I mean, if it's horror related and you don't see what you want on there, hey, hit me up. I'll see what I can do for you. And if we can agree on price, then, and you pay me, I will be glad to make whatever it is that you are wanting, whatever design or whatever that you want. So, movie roulette is still in full force. And what movie roulette is it, in case you don't know or haven't heard me talk about it. If you give a $5 or more super chat during any live stream I do, and that includes these watch alongs, you can pick any movie of your choosing for me to watch and do a review on an upcoming episode of Movie Roulette. So I just did one for the Dead Pit documentary and Necromantic 2. You can check that out on the channel. And I'm going to be doing an upcoming one on Jeepers Creepers and Host. Both films were picked by Menelect. God bless Menelect. Sometimes I think he keeps me afloat here on Deadlights on Deck, because he's always willing to, pitch in there, and sometimes he gives money and he doesn't even ask for anything. And now that's not meant to guilt anybody into giving me money, because as I always say, there are many, 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 many ways to support me and support the channel, and not all of them are monetary. So you can subscribe to the channel if you have not yet subscribed. You can, that's probably telling us more rain's coming. Hey, the poet. You can like any of the videos and streams that you enjoy the content of. You can hit that notification bell so you don't miss any of the content that I'm putting out there. And you can share with friends and family members that you think might be interested in the content I'm putting out. All of those things cost you absolutely nothing, but they help move me up in the algorithms of YouTube, and they help support the channel, and they support me. So, like I said, there are many, 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 many ways that you can support the channel. And I know everybody is not just rolling in money, especially in this day and age. And so there are many options for you, okay? And many options for me. So I'm hoping to have some more VHS overloads. I took this past week off pretty much to allow me to recover from the stomach bug or whatever it was I had earlier in the week. I'm feeling much better now. And hopefully, the Dick's picks, the cannon fodder, they're all messed up. All of that stuff will be in full force next week. Not sure about Friday Foolish. The way Friday Foolish stands right now is that if you don't see any promotion, you don't see any thumbnails pop up on the channel for Friday Foolish, that more than likely means that Candace and I are unable to do Friday Foolish. But never fear, we're not going away as far as Friday Foolish. Friday Foolish is not being canceled or anything like that. Me and Candace just have been, a little more busy right now. And, with them making me work late Fridays at work from time to time, that kind of, cuts into the time that not only can I not do Friday Foolish, but it also cuts into other programming that I might be able to do, right? So I just wanted to let everybody know, how things are going and that, that I plan to return in full force next week with programming. Okay. So let me look one more time, folks, and see if I can find a for free copy of Hell Night for you guys and gals to watch. If you don't, um, hmm, okay. Oh, you gang, y'all might be able to watch this. Okay, so let me put this link up here. Okay. So I had to dig a little bit deeper, I think, into the bowels of YouTube, I guess. So if you don't have a copy of Hell Night, then you can click on this YouTube link. You should be able to watch it that way. Again, I am queued up 9 seconds in on my Blu-ray with the girl screaming. She's got her mouth wide open screaming there. And I'm going to give y'all about another minute or so, and then we're going to go ahead and get started with this watch along. And while we're waiting, I'm going to finish up my dinner here. This is one of these Marie Calendar meals, and they're not bad. I like them a lot better than a lot of the frozen meals out there. I think frozen meals have come a long way as far as taste and quality and all that. The vegetables sometimes leave something to be desired, but I usually spice them up with a little salt and pepper. And as always, if anybody comes in here later and needs a timestamp, I'll be glad to give you one. And if anybody wants to join me tonight on this watch along, I'd be glad to have you. As always, the only prerequisite is that you behave yourself. And I don't think I need to explain, we're all adults here, what that means. The poet, this movie is, I think it's about an hour and 41 minutes, I believe. It's 101 minutes according to my Blu-ray. So not too awfully long. But I'm going to take myself out of the stream and go throw my plastic tray away to this meal, and I will be right back, okay? All right, gang, I am back. And so let's go ahead and get started with this movie. Like I said, I'll get everybody or anybody that comes in a little bit later all caught up, but I don't like to get too far past 7 o'clock before we get these things started. Because I don't want to keep people too long. But here we go. We're going to go ahead and do the countdown and get this party started. Here we go. 3, 2, 1. Press play. And we're off and running, gang. And this, of course, is produced by Erwin Yablans, which will be familiar to you Halloween fans, as the producer of Halloween. And there is Linda Blair. Linda Blair is starring in this. I love the titles for this. To me, these aren't your typical titles. I like how they come on there, the bright red. Vincent Van Patten is in this movie. Kevin Brophy, I think he's one of the main guys, pretty sure. And Peter Barton, who a lot of you will also remember from Friday the 13th Part 4 or the final chapter, which it actually was not the final chapter, but and the executive producers are Chuck Russell and Joseph Wolf as well. I'd forgotten Chuck Russell was one of the executive producers. And directed by Tom DeSimone, or I think that's how you pronounce it, of Savage Streets fame. I think that's that Kevin Brophy there. And I heard, just while he's on the screen, that there was a gentleman that left money to Kevin Brophy and Peter Barton because I guess he just loved their work. He loved them as actors. And I just thought that was, you don't usually hear of that, like someone being rich and when they die, they leave money to actors or actresses. We see that Linda Blair is playing one of the pledges of the sorority, Marty. I must admit that Linda Blair is very striking in this movie, as she is in most movies. And there is Mr. Peter Barton and Vincent Van Patten. That girl dancing around in the red is the character of Suki, I think. Or maybe that's her real name. I get that confused. Hold on a second, folks. Sometimes I'm a little out of it. So what they are doing here, for the uninitiated to the film Hell Night, is they are taking the pledges of the sorority and the fraternity to um, Garth Manor, I believe it's called, where they're going to tell the story of a father who ends up killing his um, deformed children, basically. I know that probably doesn't sound PC. Sorry, folks. But this was a movie in the 80s, so, people weren't as PC back then either. And I believe killed his wife as well. So their duty for the night is to stay all night in Garth Manor, but Linda Blair's wincing like I would be if somebody was shooting off a gun. I don't like to hear gunshots. But the other members of the sorority and fraternity are planning on scaring the pledges, as is, quite often in movies like this. That's what the plan is. House on Sorority Row, it was like that, and many, many others. These college-based slashers usually. So the story is that 12 years ago, Raymond and Lillian Garth had four children, and that basically all the wife was good for was childbearing. So there's no gas, no electricity, and no phone, because the Garth family did not believe in those modern conveniences. So I take that back. So for 14 years, he lived with his, mismatched family, and then uh, 12 years before the events that take place here, he killed his family supposedly and then committed suicide. So, but only 3 bodies were discovered, and they didn't find Andrew, who was the one that had to basically watch the rest of his family be slaughtered by their father. So the story goes that Andrew is still believed by some to be living somewhere in Garth Manor. And my drink of choice tonight is not an energy drink per se, but this is a rich mocha coffee drink from Black Rifle Coffee Company. And no, the Black Rifle Coffee Company does not sponsor any of my videos. Just letting y'all know what I'm drinking tonight. So they cannot leave the confines of this estate. The gate is virtually impossible to climb over. So there's basically 4 pledges, 2 to the fraternity, 2 to the sorority. They're going to have to stay all night in Garth Manor. So they're supposed to stay here for 6 hours before the rest of the gang returns. I think it's funny that the girl in the red there keeps calling Vincent Van Patten. Instead of calling him Seth, she always calls him Wes. And he keeps telling her, the name's Seth, my dear. So they've got Quaaludes and Jack Daniels. Perfect combination, folks. I think she's a good actress too, the poet. I always have. You know, some people have their qualms about Linda Blair, but I think most of people's qualms have to do with their meetings with her. Um, I never have actually met her. She's been at some conventions I've been at, but for whatever reason, I've never went up and met her. So we see that Marty is teasing Jeff um, about his family, I guess, being so rich. And apparently, Marty is just kind of a regular girl that's kind of had to pull herself up by the bootstraps, while she probably feels that Jeff has pretty much had things handed to him. But she's going to realize over the course of this film that and she and Jeff are more alike than she realizes. And apologies, the poet or anybody else that's hanging out watching this with me. If I zone out or anything like that, sometimes I catch myself actually rewatching these movies again, and sometimes I forget to comment on what's going on. So apologies if I do that. So we see that some of the gang is actually sneaking back in order to scare the pledges. So we find out that Jeff, his father, is the one that wants him to join the fraternity. He really had no interest in doing it. And that is a common theme that I've noticed in not only horror, slashers that take place at a college, but comedy films as well, and probably some drama ones. But maybe the parents, the father or mother was part of either a sorority or fraternity when they were in college, and they want their offspring to do the same thing. So you can see there that Jeff's not really interested in joining the fraternity. It's kind of that his father gave him that little push. So then he asks her what's her excuse for being there, and she's like, I don't know. Seemed like the thing to do at the time. And she says all her friends, are joining sororities. So she's said that, main sorority sister, May, she said she made a deal with her. She gives them all the English lit notes. Then she can have the best room in the house and a car and clothes and all kinds of things. So this May, the head sorority sister, I think she's about as useless as can be in this movie. I guess as useless as a house in the middle of the ocean. I guess I don't know. Because all she does is bitch and moan and whine and cry about this damn hole I stepped in. It's like, why don't you watch where you're going? So they've got a lot of stuff hidden here in order to scare the pledges. So Marty and Jeff have heard a scream supposedly coming from upstairs. And so Seth thinks it was them screaming, and they thought it was him, and she's still calling him Wes. He's like, my name is Seth, darling. But they realize now that, somebody, or around this time, that somebody is trying to scare them. Because we know it wasn't Marty and Jeff, and we know it wasn't Seth and his lady friend screaming. I guess this was high tech. We're back in the time period that this movie was made. Oh, Peter Barton, you're getting that them candles too close to that curtain there. So they found the speaker. Here she goes bitching and moaning about stuff again. He tells her to go around the side and create a diversion. She's like, why don't you do it? So, for many of us that have seen these types of movies, we know it's never good for people to split up or for someone to go out by themselves anywhere. So, we can probably pretty much guarantee that things are not going to end well for poor old May or bitchy May or whatever we want to call her. So she's getting pulled down by something that looks like a creature. Great decapitation there. It was quick, but great decapitation nonetheless. So not only do they have some great audio to try to scare the pledges, and they've got visuals as well. Like I said, this is very elaborate for college students in the early 80s. My question is if Marty is so convinced that it's Peter and May that are doing this stuff, why is she still scared? So Seth wants to get back to his lady friend. So he's, taking taking leave, and Marty and Jeff are by themselves again. So once again, people are splitting up, and we know from practically a lifetime of watching these types of movies that's never a good idea. I got a funny feeling things are not going to end too well for good old Scott here, who's getting another trick set up for the pledges. I wanted to remind everybody that, is either watching this now or watches it on the replay. I can't remember if I announced that at the beginning, that tomorrow night's watch along will be for Almost Famous, which is not a horror movie. But I decided to pick a different genre of movies for the Sunday watch along this time. Excuse me, which I will be doing from time to time. Um, in fact, I've got, some movies picked, I think, for the next Sunday that I do watch alongs that are not horror movies. Oh, told you. Yeah, he got his neck twisted pretty good there. That was a good kill, too. I mean, I don't think this movie is overly bloody. Um, And if I'm remembering correctly, there's not a lot of nudity and or sex either, which probably doesn't seem to fit this slasher movie formula very well. But like I've said before, sometimes it's refreshing that they kind of break from the mold. And, for those of you that are watching now or watching on the replay, as always, if you guys have any suggestions, like if I were to change the time to make it earlier or later, for these watch alongs to be more popular with people, um, this is not a complaint, but I do notice that quite a few people do vote. But I'm not getting the same amount of people that vote showing up for the watch along. So I appreciate y'all's input. If you say, hey, I will take it as constructive criticism and I will take it all into account. Like if somebody were to say to me, um, I really like the movies that you're putting up for the polls, but the time frame just doesn't work for me. If it's a job thing or a kid thing or whatever the case may be, hey, I am open to suggestions. These times are not set in stone. I just picked that 7 o'clock time slot for a lot of these because, sometimes it works for me, but I am very flexible. Not physically flexible, but flexible in that I am willing to change times and stuff for movies, either earlier or later, like I said. I'm not sure if that's Darcy like going in under that fabric gate we've got, or if it's actually Steve opening it. So you guys, that like seeing a little female flesh, even though she's not, this ain't full frontal, topless or anything like that right now, but you're getting to see a fair amount of flesh, and she's dressed very sensual. So you guys can get some enjoyment out of that. And we're almost, well, we are 40 minutes into the film. Um, we got about an hour and a minute to go. Um, this one is a little bit, slightly longer than your average, slasher movie of this type, but I still don't feel like it's overly long. And I think this is a good little film. I think it's a well made little horror film. Oh, fake snake in a can trick there. So she's taking Quaaludes, so she's not really scared by the mirror trick that he tried to do. Well, it's a fine time for you to be trying to find Scott now, Peter. Maybe they should have brought some more people with them when they came back instead of just Peter and Scott and May. Somehow, I don't think he's going to like what he finds here. Nope. I guess he found Scott, huh? Uh oh. Doesn't look like you're going to escape there, Peter. It seems that Peter, though, has a little more chase in him than either May or Scott did. Uh-oh. It seems that Andrew has not either died or been killed or anything. And, he's, obviously not like a regular person. There's obviously something going on with the guy, and he's probably, feral, not had any interaction with normal people. Um, so he's more like a wild animal. And so for a horror and or slasher film, this movie is pretty innocent, in the sex department or the nudity department. And but it still works. I mean, it may be missing some of aspects of that formula. You can tell that, Marty and Jeff have a romantic attraction to each other. Um, but I don't think you see Linda Blair get naked one time in this. Now we can see here that, the other two, um, Seth and his lady friend there, who she is still calling him Wes, are kind of, messing around there. But again, it's not really explicit. I mean, he's still got his boxer shorts on there. This chick is a little dense, though. That's what you can see there. When Seth says it's time for the John, she said, John, I thought your name was Seth. And he just makes a face and gets up and goes away. So this chick's by herself. So as we have learned, not only in this film, but in other films like it, that when you're left alone or you split up, bad things happen. Oh no. Seems that Andrew has found her. Hmm. I've seen scenes like this before. This is probably not going to be good. Oh no. But that head strangely does not look like the actress. So I cannot recall if, a different actress was used for that part or not. If somebody that's watching along recalls, you can let me know. Oh, now they're all three of them that are left are on in full on panic mode. And so Seth is like, there is a dead chick upstairs. I'm getting the hell out of here. Oh, I forgot. That is not Denise. That was May's head that was in there. Sorry about that, folks. So Denise is the girl that they don't know where she is. And they found out that they left them with only blanks. So if Seth can make it over this gate, they're wanting him to get the cops so that they can, all get out of here. So Marty tried to get over and she couldn't. So he did make it over the fence. He's like, throw me my damn boots. Because they had him take his boots off before he tried to get over. So, gang, I hate to. I hope nobody goes away, but I've got to take my usual restroom break. But I will be right back. Okay. All right, gang, I'm back. Hopefully, I didn't miss too much. We got about 40 minutes left of the film, which is not too much longer. I sincerely hope that those of you that are watching along tonight are enjoying the film. If you've never seen it, and if you have seen it, I hope you enjoy rewatching it with me talking about it. Also, I can't say this for a lot of films, but I do enjoy the gothic feel of this, them being in this in Garth Manor, which is sort of reminds me of a castle. And I know that uh, the characters are dressed up as different characters from different time periods, but Marty's costume that she's got on has a very gothic look to it. Oh, well, they found that Scott guy. He's just hanging around, right? Sorry if y'all don't like my silly little jokes, but I hope some people will appreciate them. Excuse me. I've been having trouble with my sinuses today, so apologies. So apparently he's made it back to the college, the campus, but um, everybody's probably three sheets to the wind by now, and nobody's really paying attention to poor Seth. One thing I can say for Peter Barton is I always liked him in the horror movies that he was in. Um, before he made his way onto soap operas. Um, and I think, I always thought Peter Barton was a great actor. Um, and there's nothing wrong with going into, the world of soap operas, but, it makes me wish that he had kept pursuing a film career, if not in horror, in other genres, maybe. Because he just, it fits like a hand in a glove in film in particular. I'm not just saying in horror films, but in film in general. So once again, we have a character who's, walking around by themselves. Um, so, hopefully Jeff makes it, but we shall see. Uh-oh. Well, he found Kevin there. Or I'm sorry, Peter. I think I was calling him by his real name. And we saw the close up there that Jeff totally missed out on the keys hanging on Peter there. So we see that Seth has made it to the police station. Well, are they going to believe him? And it appears that they're not. So what's Seth going to do here? Oh no, he's found some weapons. Somehow I don't think that the police station would leave a door open where they've confiscated weapons and they've got them in a room. I think they would keep them under lock and key, but and he's going to slip out the window. So Jeff has made it back to Garth Manor. Uh-oh. Y'all see something moving there in the corner of the room there? Uh-oh. And so Jeff is stabbing whatever this is under the cover, under this blanket with the pitchfork. I don't know if it's going to do any good, but we shall see. And more importantly, are there more of the Garth family still around? If this one is indeed dead. Uh-oh, they're gone. But there is a trap door in the floor. Or, down into a cellar, I guess, maybe. And this shot here sort of seems Evil Dead-esque to me, where they're going down into the cellar. I mean, I wouldn't really call this film a slow burn per se, but it doesn't have any really boring parts. But it does, space things out, give you time to kind of um, savor some of the juicier moments of the film. So this is a very deep cellar. In fact, Jeff just said it goes deeper. So basically, now at this point, Jeff and Marty are in a series of tunnels underneath Garth Manor. And we're led to assume that this is where Andrew has been living, probably not living in the house, but actually in these tunnels. But he probably comes up, from the tunnels into actual Garth Manor at some points in times. So we're getting down to about the last quarter of the film. Oh, now they found Denise. She's down there with the rats. And those must be the other members of the Garth family there. You know, you don't want Andrew to get lonely, right? Uh oh. Andrew's like, don't leave, He's wanting more guests at his party. So Seth is playing a very dangerous game here, and that he stuck a gun up in this guy's face and said, basically, get out of your car. I want your car. So Seth is trying to make his way back. Will he make it? And if he does make it, is he going to be able to save Jeff and Marty and himself as well? So now we see that there's a nice big hole in the fence for Seth to get back in through. He's not having to climb back over it. I don't know if that easy way back in is going to be, to his benefit or to his defeat, but we shall see. Sorry, gang. I'm trying to get all the caffeine I can so that I can, I love doing these watch alongs, but it just seems like the older I get, the more I have problems staying awake during stuff. Oh boy, y'all might hear some noise here in a second. I think Steve's trying to get Reggie out. Here we go. Okay, gang. I'm stepping away for just a second. All right. So, um, so it appears that Seth is getting attacked here. And he used the gun, but we're going to see what happens here. And we are now down to the final 15 minutes of the film, where as we watchers of these types of films know that, probably all the loose ends won't be tied up. So he shot this character again. I don't think I'd be too quick to turn my back on him. So Seth did make it back. He thinks he's killed Andrew. Uh-oh. So apparently there are two members of the Garth family left. So as we see, things are never as they seem. Oh, Marty, I hate to tell you, but I don't think Seth's going to be answering you. I think this is actually Andrew that's chasing them. And the other one must have been another member of the Garth family that did not die. Uh-oh. Appears that Andrew has a hold of Jeff there. Oh no, this is not going to end well. So unfortunately, one of our heroes is not going to make it to the end, but we shall see if Marty's going to make it to the end. I knew that Reggie was going to start this. That's why I didn't want to let him out right now. Apologies for the dog bark in the background. Sammy! I'm going to take myself out for just a second. I'm going to see if I can get Reggie in here. Hold on a second, folks. All right, gang. I didn't want to leave y'all alone for the final few moments of the film. So I would suspect that this is going to be our final chase scene. Got about 8 minutes left. And that's more than likely going to include the end credits. Peter, how nice of you to drop in again. And he's still got the keys in his hand that Jeff missed earlier. Apologies, folks. Reggie. Sorry, folks. I tell Steve and I tell Steve that we don't need to let the dogs out this late, but he doesn't listen to me. So now it's going to have to unfortunately deal with Amy barking. So Marty is trying to escape in the car, but it's not really working. And remember when she said that she, was a good mechanic? She's able to get the car running. Oh no. Apparently, Marty is a great driver even when she's not looking. But Andrew's still trying to get a hold of her there. Oh, there we go. So there's now daylight, and we're getting a better look at old Andrew there, who is speared on the fence. And Marty's trying to get out of the car that's wedged in between the other part of the fence. And so we are officially at the end of Hell Night. I will continue to stay with you fine folks for anybody that's still watching along until the credits finish rolling, as I always do. But I hope for those of you that stayed for the duration, I hope that you enjoyed watching along with me. And for those of you that were in the chat, I know DePoet was in the chat. Thank you, DePoet, for hanging out with me at least part of the time for the Hell Night Watch Along. For those of you that didn't feel comfortable getting in the chat, but that you popped in and out or were watching along for the duration or whatever, I appreciate you too hanging out with me. and for anybody that will watch this on the replay. And once again, if the time frame that I'm choosing for these watch alongs is not working for any of you, and if I were to change the time either earlier or later, if you would be better able to join um, for the watch alongs as they are actually going on live, I'd love to hear y'all's thoughts on that. Because I'm not just doing this for myself. It's not in a vacuum. I'm wanting to provide entertainment that people are going to enjoy and people are going to want to be able to partake in. And if I'm not doing it at the right time, that's going to unfortunately make it hard for people to participate. Even if they're just participating by watching along with me. Nothing says that you have to be in the chat and you don't have to be talking. If you want to just watch the movie on your own and listen as I talk about these things, that is fine too. And there may be some people or several people that voted on these movies that, while they may not necessarily get to watch them live, they'll watch them on the replay. I've had people tell me that. But if the times that I'm picking are stopping any of you from actually watching these live, I would love to hear people's thoughts on that. Okay, so we have officially reached the end of the Hell Night Watch Along. The credits have rolled, and it doesn't appear that I have anybody in here right now. So I think that I am going to call it a night. But I just want to thank the poet for being in here at least part of the time in the chat. And discussing different things with me. And y'all might hear Steve in the background there. But I want to remind everybody once again that the watch along for tomorrow night, also starting at 7 p.m. Eastern time, will be for Almost Famous. So y'all come on out in droves to join me if you would like. And as always, I appreciate y'all's support of me, the support of the channel, the support of the Deadites on Deck car shop at deaditesondeck.com. And as always, I'm off like a dirty shirt. This shirt ain't dirty, but I'm off like one. And I want to remind everybody, as I always do before I get off of here for the night, to be kind to one another and blaze that trail. Have a fantastic rest of your Saturday night, folks. And hopefully I'll see many of you tomorrow night starting at 7 p.m. Eastern time for the Almost Famous watch along. And with all that being said, I'll see everybody next time.